All right, we'll call to order special meeting of the Board of Education for Monday, March 9th at 6 p.m. Roll call. It's not on the agenda.
Mrs. Capabianca? Here. Mr. Hinman?
Here.
Mrs. Hona here. Mr. Kisco?
Here.
Mr. Knight?
Here.
Mr. Lemoyne?
Here.
Mr. Nargi?
Here.
Ms. Richardson? Here. Mr. Tebow?
Here.
Mr. Traub?
Here.
Mayor Carbone not here. Ms. Ayer? Here. Mr. Becerra? Who's coming? Mr. Campolita?
Here.
Ms. Klacko? Here. Ms. Lubomsky? Here. Mr. Potter?
Here. Mayor Carbone is here.
Mayor Carbone is here.
Just welcome.
Dave will be late. Thank you.
Okay, presentation of the superintendent's proposed budget for 15-16.
And I hope you all have your new books, that we've taken the others back and replaced them with new ones. First of all, thank you very much for your patience. We undertook a big challenge this year in creating a new budget by building it on New World, and which is the city's system for developing budgets, and it proved to be a challenge because you can't do something on an Excel and put it in. You have to create it on New World and export it out, and that has really proven to be a challenge for us. I would say poor Mr. Potter lost 20 pounds in the process. Anyways, by request, I am keeping this very short, very simple. If you haven't had a chance to read my letter, you can, as stated in my letter, the 2015-16 budget for the Torrington Public Schools was developed based upon the following: the mandates that define the expectations of education reform on the federal and state level. Torrington Board of Education goals, with a focus on conducting a comprehensive review of the Student Services Department that will allow for a thorough revision of practice, protocol, and delivery of support services within the district. Request for a budget that is both transparent and clearly understood by all members of the community. The belief that all children are entitled to a free public education that provides a quality learning environment which can guide them in the process of becoming an educated citizenry, and the belief that a quality school system is a good investment for the children of Torrington as well as for the future of the city. Program and adjustments and additions incorporated into the 2015-16 budget include a health savings account for all members of the Torrington Education Association, expanded in-district education programs on the secondary level to accommodate identified students at the elementary schools as they transition to Torrington Middle School and from Torrington Middle School to Torrington High School, and continue to reduce the number of students requiring out-district placement services. Expanded regular education initiatives such as RTI, Response to Intervention, and support to students learning English as a second language. Designing and implementing a manufacturing STEM program of study from pre-K to grade 12, which will include internships and on-site learning experiences. Extending acquisition of equipment and expanding the technology infrastructure in order to provide all students with access to needed devices through the school day. Continue to grow the options program for secondary level students through collaborative partnerships with the organizations and businesses throughout Torrington, and maintaining the TAG program at the elementary level, which prepares students to think creatively and critically. And meeting additional expenses such as tuition for magnet schools, increased contributions to the custodial retirement fund, purchases of software systems to meet compliance with implementing state mandates, and formatting requirements for reporting relevant data. As I'm going to have Mr. Potter address the format for the book this year because it is different than what it has been in the past. And as you take a look at both account summaries, site count summaries, and site transactions, you will see that there is a discrepancy by total amounts because the site account summary rounds to the nearest dollar, and the site transaction report includes cents. So if you say, gee, look at, you're going down through and maybe the total for a budget on the site account summary is $1.50, or no, it'd be $2 or $3 or $7 off of the site transaction report. It's because, again, the site account summary is rounded to dollars, and that is how New World does it, and the site transaction report is rounded to dollars and cents. And so I now turn this over to Mr. Potter so he can walk you through a site.
Good evening, everybody. I did want to say that the New World software, the rounding, that's actually beneficial in terms of state reporting. State reporting also rounds. They don't like to play around with cents, so that's a good thing. As Superintendent Glasgow said, this is, I guess, quite a departure from past budget books. Going into it, I spoke to Alice over at the city. She invited us to the comptroller, invited us to a training seminar to learn how to use the New World module, budget module. She's been very helpful. She's a good person to be able to ask questions to. And with that, I would say that at first I wasn't really in awe of New World, but now that everything's in here, I hope we never change our financial system again because there's a lot of work getting all this stuff in here. And I have a lot of people to thank at Midgen for doing that. It's a very tedious process. And that really leads me to my mea culpa, which is that this took a little bit longer than anticipated, but in the spirit of wanting to have a transparent, repeatable process that, Torrington can use going forward, and, being able to work with the city and have them be able to use our data, it really was a requirement that we take the time that we did. The format is such that if you look, you want to open it up to tab I, which is Forbes School, for an example. All your accounts are laid out. The 2014 adopted budget, actual budget, 2015 adopted budget, and then the 2015 year-end projections. This 2016 level 1 is the superintendent's cut of the budget, which, as you will see if you peek, should I state this? If you look in the front, you'll see that it is a 6% increase. I guess that should be noted right up front, 6.03%. $4 million, $4,187,389 increase. The 15-16 proposed budget came in at $73,576 and $576,125. Excuse me. With that said, I go to tab 11. The accounts are laid out, I think, in a very detailed format.
We're in letters.
Aye. Did I say aye?
You said 11.
Oh, did I say 11? Sorry about that.
Page 11.
One aye. And it's
School.
page 1 of 6. It's Forbes.
Okay.
So if you look at budget by account for Forbes School, all the accounts are laid out. And then if you go to the transaction pages that start on page 1 of 8, you'll see that every account has detailed information in there, which was the requirement of the transparency, so that as you guys are going through the budget reduction process, you have a view into what comprises these numbers in the accounts. I would also want to point out that for personnel, in the past, I guess there was some issue with people that were paid from general fund or paid from entitlements. And there was some confusion at times, not knowing if you had 8 people who were salaried full-time individuals, what percentage of those people were being paid from general fund, which percentage were being paid by the entitlements. So if you look at page, let's see, 4 of 8 for Forbes School in the transactions, and if you look at program 21, the literacy specialist, account 5111.15 teachers, you'll see that there's 1 FTE literacy coach paid from ENT, that's entitlement, obviously, and 4 full-time literacy support, 1 general budget, a general fund, and 3 entitlement. So it's going to be a lot easier to identify where people are being paid from. One of the things that is forthcoming, we hope to have for you tomorrow or the next day at the latest, are the salary schedules that complement this book. The salary schedules are by school, by department, and it lists all the individuals who are being paid out of that account. And it also indicates on there whether or not they're being paid from entitlements, whether they're being paid from general fund. That also is complemented by the fact that in New World, and we will be doing that, we'll be drilling down using New World Live, so you have visibility into that when necessary to make informed decisions. You'll be able to see in New World as well that each category has a description and or notes embedded in them so that you'll know, with certainty what it is that comprises that number. So there's a few different things that that work together there.
And we do have total salary for next year, and we have it broken down by site, but we have some teachers who teach in more than 1 site, and so we now have to go back and split them out. First, to make sure everybody's accounted for, you have to do it where they spend most of their time. Now we just have to, like if someone's 0.7 somewhere and then 0.3 somewhere else, we have to account them in both places. But their total salary is in 1 site.
It was very important to the superintendent and assistant superintendent that there not be any uncertainty as to where people are being paid out of, and that it be very granular. So that's why we took the extra effort to make sure that it's noted in 3 places. So with that said, each of the schools has their separate account. We also have separate tabs for student services, my favorite, district maintenance, facilities, district-wide services, athletics, the SEAT, technology, and non-public. There are a couple of things that have not been included in here yet, one of which is the revenue, which comes a little bit farther along in the process, but we're working on right now. And again, the salary schedules are going to be forthcoming. Let's see. Oh yes, in the summary of accounts, I did want to say that up front, in the spirit of transparency and full disclosure, the summary account, which is a fairly substantial spreadsheet that ties all these accounts together, did not tie out, so we're still working on that. Expect to have that tomorrow. It's just it requires that we drill down into every cell in this mammoth Excel spreadsheet. And unfortunately, one of the I don't want to offend anybody in the New World community, but one of the shortcomings of New World is that, as the superintendent said before, as you export from New World to Excel, it is in a text format, so there's some formatting issues that you have to work around, and it's you know, a little cumbersome to work with, but it does make some polished reports, and it is what it is. I mean, that's something that, you know, I know that the public wants to have disclosed very quickly, but I did not want to just chunk the numbers in there and do it in a slapdash fashion. So I do expect to have that tomorrow. So those things, the salary accounts and the summary account will be forthcoming. That's it. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. If you look at the operating costs for this year, you'll see that, let's see, tab B, you'll see that there was a 4.94% increase in salaries. Benefits went up 0.66%. There was a decrease in professional and technical services, 12.3%, $219,000. Property services were up. Purchase services were up considerably, almost 21%. Supplies and materials up 3.16%. And property up 34.97%. Dues and fees slightly down, again for 6.03%. First cut budget increase, which I know is going to be carefully looked at by the board and reduced. And I look forward to working on it with you, or vice versa.
What are you looking for, Andrew?
Well, I just have
Oh, okay, I thought you were
some
trying to.
question.
Go ahead,
And that is
discussion.
it for my prepared presentation.
I don't see where you, on the capital side of this budget, where you place those. I mean, we have, if you look at your capital explanation in section W, you have X amount of money that is to be spent, and then projected grant money, and then cost of the city, 15,711.
Have you had a chance to read the book yet?
I looked at it, the book that you took back because there was some mistaken. So where is that?
There's no summary. The actual budget's not in here. All you have in here is the worksheets that build the budget. The actual 6-page summary, that's the budget that goes to the public in the city, is not in the book yet. They're not gonna have that finished till tomorrow.
That's what's being tied out in here.
And what's taking you so long?
I think I elaborated on that.
Well, I didn't understand anything you were saying.
Oh, well, I'm still working on it.
Well, it'd be nice at this process that, you know, you hand out this book and it's so incomplete. What are we doing here?
I know.
I mean, it's pretty late in the process for this to be this incomplete.
Presentation, yeah.
What?
I'm having a budget presentation.
What's a lousy presentation?
Okay, well,
That's evaluated.
duly noted.
Well, no, I mean, it's our budget. I can evaluate our budget. This is a lousy budget. When you don't have the revenue here, you showed some revenue in the book that you took back. Now, that page has disappeared.
No.
If I look at, it's not true. Where is revenue?
It's in
13.
Page 3.
It says 13. It says material forthcoming.
No, it's,
Well, this is what I have. Revenue.
the grant revenue is in D.
it's state federal.
There's $31 million in grant revenue. Is that what you're looking for?
If you go to section D, it's page 3 and 4.
What I think we're looking at is A13.
Done.
The 6.03% raise, that's for the, that's for the, entire school system, the teachers, the paraprofessionals. and-
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The 73 includes capital, but doesn't include the school in Southwest.
Capital is,
No.
okay. I'm really not trying to eavesdrop.
No.
No, I was trying to get you a clear answer, Bill, I'm sorry.
I appreciate it.
It doesn't include, the total capital was
15.
$15 million?
Well, that's,
But you gotta do gross to gross. You're talking 15 is net, so gross to gross.
Right, gross to
you're at
gross, the
46.
total, all right. The total capital is $47 million on top. It's not all on top because part of it's in there. You're only missing $1 million of it's in there, $45 million of it's missing.
And that would be, the 45 million would encompass both the east and southwest?
Yes.
Yes, that's everything that's with the city right now.
let me go back to where my main concern was. When I see your proposed budget, I'm trying to look and see where the line item of salaries, benefits, and where that line item would be for capital improvements.
It would be in the summary that's not in the book yet, so you don't have that, to answer your question.
So we're not to really assume that 73,576,125 is going to be the bottom line of the expenditure side for this upcoming fiscal year.
That does not include the Southwest or the East School projects.
But there are other capital,
There's other capital expenses in here, but they didn't include the two larger ones.
okay, and what account would those capital?
You'll see it when you get the summary. You're not gonna see it in the book, Andrew.
Okay,
It's 51.
I'm not trying to be argumentative, I'm just telling you what's in the book, okay?
And the $1 million that is included in the capital so far, what is it, one project that's going for, or
It's
several?
3. It's $1 million, it's actually almost $2 million, or it's $2 million. It's a $1.8 million for the high school, $150,000 for Southwest, right, yep. And $198,000 in technology.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Did you have anything, Jeff?
Yeah, page 1 here of sort of section B, where it shows the percentage of the changes in different areas. Is there a simple way for me, as someone who's new to this process, to look at that area and see what those specific changes are? For instance, the professional and technical services, we've gone down 12.3% in this new budget, so the minus of $219,090. So if I wanted to know what that was, how would I find that out? Do I have to get the old budget and compare it to this one?
It's actually, if you go to each site, when you have the summary, you'll see it. It'll have 14 adopted, 14 actual, 15 adopted, 15 actual, and then a proposed. So you'll see where the changes are by line order, line item, and then you'll get the code for that item, and you'll be able to go into each site and look at that item at each level of where there was a reduction.
And I do apologize, I had very much anticipated having it for tonight. You will have it very quickly. Mr. Mayor.
Jim, did you have anything? I'm sorry, Jess, were you done?
No, it's fine.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you have anything, Jen?
At this point, I'm still digesting it.
Okay. Helen?
No, not until, look at the summary.
I also am speechless, believe it or not, but I don't have enough information. I mean, I just got the book, I haven't had a chance to look through it at all. Without having the summary, it's impossible to even do anything tonight, so I have nothing.
Helen?
I'm hearing you talk about the capital and that you've extracted a couple of projects. The capital plan was approved by the board, so I'm not sure what the premise of extracting any of that information. So for presentation purposes, I would expect that the approved capital plan would be here, and if it's the board's desire to change that plan, it would be done so in a public manner, much in the way adoption of that budget was done. But more than anything, I wanted to say, I hear your frustration. I do have to give credit to administration. I think it's very difficult when your budget process prior this year was, I think, essentially done in Excel, and then the numbers were dropped into New World, because this is not a new program for the Board of Education. This is your 3rd year using this program. So I think that you can't judge what this current administration and financial team had to do to get this product. I give you credit for, doing a whole lot of work in a very short period of time. But I would also really urge everyone to really pour through this new world, because there's so much detail in here that you weren't getting in any old method, unless you were getting it by separate detailed information, transferring, going back and forth between what your pages show, what detailed information came from other sources. So I really hope that you'll dive into this, digest it, and get comfortable with it moving forward. I'm comforted hearing you say that now that you've done it, you hope we stay with it.
Yeah, well, and the thing is, I think you'll be able to get right to it. I mean, you'll be able to drill down very quickly. We have the application. When you're working, in the workshop, we can pull it right up on the screen. You're going to be able to see it right there. You will have all the additional documents, which I wish I had been able to have for you tonight, but you'll have them all, and I think it's going to be, you're going to be able to do your business a lot easier now. So.
Have you consulted with Alice about importing this information or exporting it to Excel? Because we do it on the city side as well. If there's.
We got a little messed up with the text nature of it, and I think in retrospect that would have been a good question to ask her. But I do avail myself of her expertise quite often. She's really a great asset to all of us. So.
Other than that, I think we have a lot of studying to do.
John?
Nothing, thank you.
Dan?
I'll reserve everything until I've read it. Same here, but thanks for the hard work, you.
Well, thank you for your patience.
Items for good of the order.
Okay, I'll go back to my greatest concern that this city school district has had. So when you look at the education equalization numbers, and you're projecting 24,471,000, you're going back to 11-12, and you're talking 23,853,000. You're talking approximately $600,000 increase from 11 to what we're going to do in 15-16, and our budget has gone up in the same time as far as expenditures by several $1 million. We just keep talking, I say the same thing every year, and for some reason it's 6-7 years later, and we're not getting any relief. We're not getting our fair share of revenue from the state. I don't know what the administration can or can't do, but when a district like Torrington gets just so shortchanged on the revenue side of our budget, it leaves us in just a horrible fiscal condition to run a school district and to see a community such as Torrington have the types of fiscal problems that it's faced with. I say it every year, do we hire an attorney? Do we hire some specialist who knows how to lobby over in Hartford to change this formula? I say it every year, we don't do anything. So either the board doesn't care, the administration doesn't care, but the numbers show we're being shortchanged on the revenue side by the state of Connecticut.
Right, and I'm going to show you in your revenue analysis the entitlement caps that are put on. In an ideal world, say for transportation, as a non-aligned school district, you might be entitled to 1.3 or 1.4 million dollars. The reality of it is, because you're non-alliance, they put a cap on it, and you end up getting, and I'll say it on record, some paltry amount of money. And you're right, but I do think if you look at the grant awards and the amount of work that Donna, Labby, and the administration do over there, they do try to get the every grant dollar they can. And to your point, I do know that CASBO and a lot of these other associations are very active and hard for trying to get, you know, the legislature to see what's going on, because it is a big burden on the taxpayers, and, you know, I know that.
And the reason we do not receive Alliance money is because up until this point, and who knows what this year will bring, is that our students do not perform poorly enough. Our graduation rate isn't low enough. And our free-reduced lunch is high enough. So when we look at socioeconomically, but other than that, we do not demonstrate failing academics in Torrington as yet. Don't know what the results will be with the new assessment with SBAC when we finally, you know, do it this year and we get returns back. But that's why we don't qualify. I wouldn't want to qualify. Do I want more money? Yes. Do we try to get it every which way we can to support the district? Absolutely. If you look at our grants, we got technology, we got security, we have early childhood. I mean, the places where we need support, we are getting money. That's the only way that I know of. I belong to the Superintendent's Association, and so they're always advocating for school districts. But I think Torrington has to hold itself proud and hold its head high that we are not recognized as a failing school district yet.
When the board leadership met with the city council, this was one of the topics that actually came up, that the city council is going to work with us and our local legislators to try to lobby for a more equal distribution and a better representation of Torrington. We don't ignore you all, just some of the time. Mr. Knight.
ECS definitely is skewed, you know, I mean, it doesn't really, the formula doesn't work.
Right, there was an article last week in the paper.
Right. But I mean, we've been talking about it for years.
Jess, do you have anything?
Just a question, when will this be available to the public? And if they want a copy, how should they go about it?
It'll be when the summary is done, that's what's available to the public, because the summary is actually the budget. This is all just worksheets to help show how we arrived at the budget. So the summary will be posted on the board, on the school website, as soon as it's completed, and anybody can download it and look at it, whatever they want to do. But this is for the board members to understand how the numbers came up and see changes while we're debating it. Jim, do you have anything?
I'll reserve until I get everything.
Also, I mean, any member of the public can ask any one of us board members once we receive the summary, if they would like a copy, if that's more convenient for someone in the public.
And your question before, Jim, you can also, if you need a report or you want to see something, some information that we can pull out of New World or, you know, any of our records that'll help you in this process, all you have to do is send an email or a call.
You're next.
Just reflecting on Jesse's question, this budget book actually is a public document, so if anybody wanted this entire book, including the detail, they can certainly request it.
Mhm.
I agree with Andrew. If we're too nice and we let them get away with not funding us well, we're going to keep getting what we have been getting. You know, Oliver Twist, please, sir, may I have more? Instead, he gets farmed out, gotten rid of. This weekend, we're celebrating the anniversary of the civil disobedience in Selma, Alabama. Those people got what they wanted because they weren't being nice about it. Actually, they were. But the overall movement knew what it took to get what you need. And we need to do that with our legislators, but we're too nice to them.
And just, the timing is the critical piece, Andrew. Right now, there are any bills or any arguments on the legislative floor is, we're behind the eight ball. The time to bring this forward is before they get into legislative session. So October, November, December is when we really should be meeting with our legislative delegates and making sure that they know exactly what it is that we're looking for, which is something that City Council is committed to working with the board to make sure that happens.
have them in here in August, a couple of years ago, to try to get ahead of that, but it didn't go anywhere. This is just one thing.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor? The motion was to adjourn.
Yes, it was.
She beat me before I got it all.
Otherwise, I'm withdrawing my second.